Satnam, Aman Devi here, offering a general reading. And as always, take what resonates within. Explore this as it resonates. So if a word, phrase, card, image speaks to you, let it be a starting point to expand your own awareness or a point of reflection. Getting a lot through the night and in meditation. So I took some notes. Did a little bit of research for you. So I have some quotes from a book and we'll go from there. So I was getting the word supply and demand and the book Pedagogy of the Press. And it's been a couple years since I've read that book. So I just pulled a couple quotes. We'll see if we get to that. And I am not, I don't know economics. So supply and demand was a little different for me to receive. But when I was like sitting with it and doing some free writing, it was like supply and demand more in, and they were showing me the Six of Pentacles. I'm sorry I didn't pull that card. Six of Pentacles in the Rider Waite, that everything should be in some sort of reciprocity. So what is fueling you and how? And I think this really comes back to intention and healing. So how are you being fueled, or how are you fueling another? And this might be in the workplace, might be in the family structure, it might be in a romantic relationship, friendship, whatever. How do you receive your supply, your full cup, with pure intention? And I've talked about narcissistic abuse and gaslighting. How are you supplying another and giving and fueling them? And is that coming through with pure intention? And is that growing forward with pure intention? Or is it fueling in more of a power dynamics that is unhealthy and needs to be cut? And therefore, what is your demand? Demand on your blessings, demand on your happiness, your freedom, your own right to receive your own energy, to make your own choices, that it's not in relationship to another as far as power is concerned, but more in the form of love and, again, pure intention. When we look at the law of supply and demand, there's a sense that everything is relative. And you play a role if you are supplying someone who has abusive tendencies. You're allowing that. But when we come back to the pedagogy of the oppressed, what I remember from reading this book is like, we don't know what we don't know. We continue the same cycles. And when we look deeper at that, sometimes breaking the cycle for some who are oppressed, they turn around and start the same cycle, but from the flip side. So that there is a sense, here it is. It's like instead of being oppressed, they then liberate themselves and oppress others. So where are you striving to be? And are you willing to birth a new way of being in the community, for yourself, and in the connections you choose? And that happens day and night. I mean, even in the dream world, there is a sense of needing to put boundaries up to not receive that communication. And I'm not saying like, oh, your dreams don't have meaning, but if you are at that place where you're doing astral projection or you're receiving people in your dreams, it's up to you to say, to liberate yourself from some cycle, or declare who you will and will not receive in the dream world, who you will and will not receive in through your energetic body and liberating yourself, understanding that place between your physical world, physical choices, the energetic body, and beyond, and how you're communicating and how can you liberate yourself from the ties that pull you back, what drains you, and how you're supplying others energetically. And it requires us to see anew. It's so easy to turn a blind eye. And when you open up to intention in the energetic world or become aware of how people are pulling from you in the energetic world, it requires a new way of leveling up, seeing and believing. It's like you can't unsee and you can't really turn a blind eye. You now need to step forward with a new level of integrity, that every thought matters, every step matters, and that you have a choice, and how it's no longer about validation. It's about stepping up and working with those energies. And I feel like when you start to explore the energetic world, healing modalities, and understanding your intention, there's that first part of learning how to communicate on that level. And then there's the part of like trusting it and then wanting that validation. And now they're saying next level up is growing your wings and knowing that you're part of a new community. They're giving me the word spark, like spark of insight. That's come up before that TED Talk. I used to play TED Talks all the time when I taught at the college and then do break-off groups. And one of the TED Talks I used is Stroke of Insight, where she talked about her brain injury and having a stroke. And in that process, it's like she's talking about the two worlds. I'm seeing the Two of Pentacles in the Pig and Other Worlds deck, and the Seer's card. So it's like you are navigating on multiple planes, and it's kind of like this eye-opening, wow, you knew it was always there, you knew it was always happening, and you're like, wow, we are in the matrix. And yes, you are lighting the torch. I don't know why they're giving me the word headhunted. That's not a word I use. However, it does feel like in sometimes in my own experience that as you start to level up, people want that power you have, perhaps. I don't know if I'm saying this right because this is just kind of coming up. It could just be more of the supply and demand here. And when I was sitting with supply and demand and this idea of power dynamics, is like, for me, when I was sitting with it, it's like it, and from talking with people, it's like how much of it comes back to this feeling of not good enough, and how is not good enough and that shame cycle playing out in your world and in your community. And it feels like it splits into worlds, those power seekers. And there's a lot of people in the spiritual community and above in the political world that abuse their power. And yet there are also those who are a martyr and give their power away. And are you in the cycle of giving, and putting salt on your own wounds? Are you in witness of, or are you one of those people that want to conquer and put another notch on your belt and continue to take? And how are those dualities or those ways of the shame cycle playing out, hurting yourself, keeping yourself from feeling your own vulnerability and your expression of your true nature, and putting a band-aid on how you feel afraid to be you. And so you are expressing your human nature in, rather than leveling up And being, how is the doing happening for you to mask in a way that society like allows? Like, give me the word society. I feel like I got tripped up there for a second. I'm sorry. Um, and in free writing, I was getting liberation requires reflection to expand the reality of your existence. So it's like, and I think this is where the word bewilderment, they gave me the word bewilderment in the wee hours this morning. It's like, and back to that, we don't know what we don't know, but until you're able to sit with it and feel it out, you don't know what's happening. Until your eyes are open to another culture, a new book, a new word, a new phrase, you don't implement it. So it's about you opening up and seeing a new way, a new perspective. And we must be more than a commodity. And they're giving me the word commodity. And this is where I think like the doing and being comes into play. And I remember my first teacher training. And we would do this, discussions. And I will never forget Vanessa speaking to how, like, I don't have to be a blah, blah, blah. I am not a blah, blah, blah. Like, she isn't her title. She isn't the role she plays to get her paycheck. I'm kind of trying to respect her privacy a little bit, but it's like, it isn't what she does that makes her who she is, that she had the choice to be. And that always frustrates me when, especially with like the small talk and chatting. Oh, so what do you do? Like that's like the first question. And that's where I think commodity is like we're spinning wheels in this cycle of doing. Those of us who overwork or overgive, it's like we're becoming that commodity and transforming our experience as a human into actually being more of like a robot, just spinning in a cycle of doing rather than being true to our very nature. And they also were giving more, like I had this scribble of paper, and so I just pulled a couple notes from it, but the internal and external, as you're able to see from a new vantage point, work beyond the doing, the inner landscape starts to change. And I think this is happening for so many right now. The inner landscape is just like, it's like tower moment after tower moment right now for so many. And the internal world changing through that vantage point, then the external world has to mirror that new found reality within. That new, and it's less of like new, it's more of like activations energetically of like, someone was asking me, and I feel this sometimes too, where you just feel like so drained. You're like, what's going on? And we were talking about it, and I just think he's an amazing human being. And I was like, you're like a supercomputer. It's like a new program has been activated in your system. And that's why some of us like need more rest right now, or in certain times of activation, that we need more rest to process the energies that have been activated, that then kind of like spark out into the whole community, or it's like bringing that energy on planet Earth. And it happens through, I want to say all of us, but some of us a little bit more than others. So, not to be afraid to question your reality, question the status quo. Like, why is this tradition this way? Why are we doing things this way? Why are we accepting this behavior? Why are we continuing in this pattern? Why is this cycle in society acceptable? Start to question it. All right. So I have some decks out, and I want to start with, I'm getting confused because one is like I had kind of had like my little order of operations here in the deck, and another deck is calling out. What do we need to break free of? Can we get a little bit more here? Ask yourself why you would accept something and be willing to uncover the rock. That was another note I had written on that scribble of paper, but it was like I saw, I didn't explore that more, but it was like I saw Patrick under his rock. Okay, there's the Tower. And managing your energy with a newfound awareness. The next bottom deck energy feels important. The Tower and the Fortune together. So closing out a cycle. But the universe is really delivering you the messages that you're asking for. Your prayers are being heard. They are being answered. You're asking for clarity. And it is showing up on multiple levels. You open your eyes to see it. And then we can trace that back through history and see that we have a pattern of, as humans, of shaming leaders, shaming the light, shaming whatever breaks that status quo. And the universe is here to deliver something new for you. Will you dig deeper? Will you go higher? Glass ceiling came to mind, and it came to mind because I had to enter a building, and the glass door was so heavy to open. And it's like you have the opportunity as a starseed, as an intuitive, as a medium, as a psychic, however you want to define yourself as a healer, to start to level up. And you are working on multiple playing fields, and there's many gifted human beings working on different layers in different careers. And so being willing to let the energy flow and the universe and your angels work with you. And so we're no longer afraid to manage our energy. What tools are at your access? What tools have you been given? And what cords will you cut that bind you to the past? What are you connected to, and what will you rebuild for yourself? And what cycles were harming you that you will no longer continue to allow in your energetic sphere, in your physical reality, and in your mental body? I think I talk to this a lot. It's like how your mind is playing out, but this feels more energetic than mental. But it's good to be aware of all the layers. And so noticing when we look at the energetic body and how we could be tugged by another, those of us who are sensitive, empaths, how our starseeds, sometimes an emotion you feel is not your own. Sometimes it's someone else's. Sometimes I love my daughter, but sometimes I'll get this wave of anxiety. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then she'll call me. I'm like, oh, something's up. And then I have to remind myself I gave her that anxiety from all my wonderful parenting. But other times it's like when you go in certain locations, for example, you feel the trace energy. I think I can see his face, but I can't think of his name right now. He talks about he talks about the pain body and that lingering pain. And so sometimes we're brought in this planet to kind of clean things up energetically, to let it pass through us, to clear a space, or to no longer take on that pain or blame. Climate conditions are clearing, and it's like everything's opening up. The floodgates are opening for you to receive the message and new tools to let go and rebuild. Got the Labyrinth playing card deck. So you are in control of your own energy. You are what may have been mismanaged in the past. You now have new tools at your access to clean it up and new guidance coming through to you. I know my recent class with Star Shantir, she mentioned being open to new guides coming in to support you. And I think when my talk with Divine Scarlet, we talked about those working with those who have passed. And I have to say, for me, I didn't start listening to divine guidance till after my grandmother passed, because then I started to trust my dreams a little bit more and trust those messages I received. Still working through some of the fear because, my very first image was trauma related. Like, I really didn't understand, like, how can I see these two human beings in another room? All right, celebrate. What do they want to celebrate? Your newfound freedom. So these changes, these new light codes, they're worth exploring and celebrating. Found the floor, which I think is great. Isn't that to hold the Four of Pentacles? Not to be bogged. It's different than being bogged down. It's more of like, my daughter used to, when we go to the gym, she'd always pick up another rock. And I had a dog too that loved rocks. But we don't have to carry all that weight with us, right? We can admire it, receive its energy, and let it go and let that experience be what it is. We don't necessarily need a physical object to remind us of who we truly are. I have a couple more cards just flying out. Escher was able to create new realities. We are able to create new realities. Where do you want to go? What confuses you? And where does that confusion stem from? Does it lie with a pattern of the past? Is the new paradigm shift, this newfound awakening and the new directions that are opening to you? Are you confused because it no longer aligns with the past? And will you bring forth a new way of managing your belief system, your behaviors? And no surprise here, we have got the Two of Diamonds. So managing the light and the dark, managing your energy, and being aware that you are in two worlds. The dualities are not meant to confuse you. It's an opportunity to reject what is not yours, back to that demand. What will you continue to carry? And what creates a solid ground for you? And will you trust your intuition and knowing? Sometimes we want to question the truth because we don't want to believe it, because once we accept that truth, it requires us to make a change. And the divine, the angels, your ancestors are asking you to make a change, and they will protect you with the changes. Some of the tower moments are divine guidance rerouting you. Listen to what they say, listen to how you feel, and you have to continue to do the work to sift through. You need to sweep the floor, you need to burn that sage, you need to You need to clean out the clutter because that bogs you down because you can't listen. And certain objects hold a different resonance, a different frequency, a different energy. That's why crystals work, because there is that vibration with a certain crystal that raises the energy. There are certain objects and spaces where the energy is heavier. So listen to that feeling and be willing to kind of clean things up. You're being asked to raise the frequency in certain locations, in certain family structures, and break certitudes. Ask for what you need, what support you need, and they will be there to guide you. Ask for what support you need, and they will be there to guide you. Don't be afraid of tower moments. Have faith. Sometimes that is not the thing I want to hear. It's not the thing you want to hear, but it is what is being called up is faith. I'll never forget questioning a relationship or a connection. It wasn't, a true relationship by title. And my guides are like, have faith. And I was like, what? This is not what I wanted to hear. But it required me to understand what was an illusion, what was true to me, and believe in love wholeheartedly. Believe in my ability to receive love and see love, because I had to learn what true unconditional love was. And I wasn't seeing love, I was seeing abuse. I wasn't seeing love, I was seeing a cycle of supply and demand. All right. Oh, I got a new deck. And I'm so excited because I've been wanting this deck. But, I really like the gilded edges, and it's really well done. And the cardstock is nice. That matters to me. I will pass on a deck that have good cardstock. I say that, but I have one or two. And I've kept. All right, so the bee only stings when it has to, right? A light worker burns a bridge when they have to, right? And knowing when and how to use your freedom, how to use your powers with integrity. And a bee, when they sting, they're done, right? That's it for them. Bottom deck. You have all the support you need. You have the tools at your access. And you have the momentum to carry you forward. The victory is here, and it's because you're working with integrity, with divine beings, as a divine soul on this planet. Next bottom deck. So Major Arcana here, screaming loudly the support that you have at your access. You are needed on this planet. Ground yourself. So those times that you're feeling that 7 of cups energy, where you're like a little bit confused, or the emotional body just doesn't feel right. Sometimes that is about grounding the energies. I've had that where I'm like, so sometimes it's about a few deep breaths into the physical body and noticing your physical reality, or feet in the earth. Be mindful to manage your grounding, not through food. Food as medicine, not as an anchor point. So if you find yourself overeating, sometimes it isn't always about emotional distraction. Sometimes it's your body trying to ground. They're giving the word blessings again. That you see the truth and you're leveling up. These are the 2 bottom deck energies. Let it work through you. Let it work through you. Birth this new reality with the tools at your access and working with the tower moments to go with the flow. I'm seeing like a river or like not river. Salmon make the effort to swim upstream because they know that's part of their life purpose. It's not easy. It goes against the grain. It goes against the status quo. And so be willing to articulate a new way, being willing to communicate with the divine to manifest anew. And those who are feeling something new, feeling something that isn't for you or feels unjust, you can call on support. Archangel Michael is wonderful for cord cutting and protection. You can call on your dragons to support you. You can call on the wisdom of Archangel Gabriel for the words to communicate, to make the change. You can call on Archangel Raphael to heal the wounds of the past and be willing to let yourself rest, to process in the emotional body, to understand and articulate the energies that are working through you, who is coming towards you with ill intention. And sometimes I feel like human beings that come towards light workers or starseeds with ill intention, it can be more of their soul wanting the light or some sort of entity kind of attacking. There's something deeper calling for attention. Just like if there's an addiction, there's something deeper than the pattern of consumption that's asking for attention. And so being willing, and I just keep seeing like this center of the flower, and like bees will cuddle in flowers, or how the efforts that you make with intention, like the fairy dust you sparkle around the planet, does not go unnoticed. And sometimes you don't see the bloom because you carried on to something else. You don't see what that intention and prayer has done because you've moved on to something else. And it's okay, because sometimes you are just awakening a community, you're awakening a family, you're awakening in just that time and place, and then it's time to move on. Use your magic kindly and wisely. You're seeing the King of Wands again. You have strength and power. You have this amazing toolbox. You are magic. You are working with the divine, knowing when to say knowing when to rest, knowing what tools to use and who to call on for support, and always working with the highest vibration, purest intention, working from heart. And this is why your personal work, your personal power is so important, so that you're not working through clouded vision, rather using your divine wisdom with heart. It's just a matter of time before the world catches up with you. There just might not be. Sometimes the world's not ready for what you've got. So tower moment, they want to talk about that a little bit. Sometimes the tower moment is like unearthing. So when you come in, whether you're to build a house and need to lay a concrete foundation, or you're toying with soil for a garden, it needs to be unearthed. So something in the physical reality sometimes needs to be unearthed to create the growth for the world to have to blossom a new reality. Paradigm shift. That's what's happening, a newfound reality. And working through the light, the dark. I almost wrote my notes in a yin yang. Let me show you. Because I feel like you can expand upon how we are working from a place of shame, and how that creates behaviors, and how some strive for power, or some strive to give away their power, and how pleasure seeking, I don't know, I'm looking at Notch and the word pleasure seeking is coming up. Rebirth, 7, learning from the past, learning through others, learning through your own experience, not allowing yourself to be conquered, or not going after to conquer others. Think about conscious leadership. Conscious leadership does not break people down to build them up. They instead are willing to be in the background to help others build up and let someone else take the spotlight. Or conquer and not to really standing out. Okay. Bottom deck energy is healing. And next bottom deck, goddess of destruction. So destroying the patterns of the past to allow the truth, to allow the rebirth and healing. So 5, change, 7, learning. So perhaps getting some energy work, doing energy work on yourself, working through the energetic bodies, whether you do yoga, whether you get Reiki, whether you listen to meditation sound frequencies, put your feet in the earth, go for a swim. You are a catalyst for change. You are a catalyst for change. Listen to the signs and synchronicities and be willing to break the mold. You are a witness to the word revolution, I'm not sure. Got you. Card that flipped out, Dove. Feel and allow a deeper sense of peace to fill you now. This is a divine quality. Expanding Jack. Blue Jay, the time is right to access and master your abilities. Do so with humility and control. Because there are 3, I'm going to get a 3rd. New rhythms are coming into your life now. You are encouraged to trust and adapt. I'm just like looking at this and like I have found that feather. Oh. Yellow, blue, trusting you. There's something more about a dove. Carrier pigeons, weddings, boardwalk, Chesapeake Beach, working together, seeing a need, filling the need, something. I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about it because I'm seeing myself on the boardwalk in Chesapeake Beach. And at one point there's, I don't know, dove and pigeon are the same, but this is just what's coming to mind. It's like almost some of the weddings there at the resort, they would use doves. I guess one had gotten away. I'm not sure if that might make sense to you. You might be able to piece that together better than I can. Listen to your intuition, and if something doesn't feel right, follow that. And, I was recently had something come up and I had to discern because I was like, wow, my mind wanted to think that my my hunch, my nudge to go in one direction was fear and anxiety because that's what my rational mind, but no, I was led out of a situation. And there have been times when fear and anxiety have masked and created a barrier for me to see the truth and receive intuitive guidance back to that trauma in my first image, so to speak. So it's like you have to be able to understand where you're at. It's kind of like when you're on the beltway. You have to know where you're at when you go which direction, whether you want to go the inner loop or the outer loop. Be prepared. This is why your personal practice and your healing is so important, because it's more than about you. It just happens through you. Walk your own journey. It's essential to stay on your own path. So 3, bottom deck, following the path of another. Your path is being redirected where it should be. That's interesting. Walk your own path and then follow another. I don't know what to say to that, but there's 2 3s, 21 to 3. I feel like next bottom deck, 7, 7, 7. You've got that. Your bright energy color uplifts you. I would say working with the chakras for healing, and you might need to work with others sometimes for healing, like you're not alone. And so it might be following divine guidance. It might be following your angels, archangels. It might be working with another divine soul for healing. I would say color as in seeing, I'm seeing like the Aurora Borealis. I've never been there. I just looked at pictures. What more can you say about that? There's a certain timing, cold, right? I feel like chakra healing, working with the energy body here is important, and trusting what guidance you receive and who is true for you to connect to and work through, or work with. Angels, archangels, masters, what crystals call to you, and what's going to give you your victory to overcome or trust. Trust what you choose to follow and who you choose to work with, and trusting your own intuition and guidance and rebirthing a newfound reality. Adorn. And this was called out. So I feel like cutting some energetic cords so that you can free up your energy to allow the light codes to move through harmoniously. Tower harmonies don't always feel harmonious. And trusting your strength and how it's kind of like that. You've been training for lifetimes for this. Yeah. I think. So pay attention to signs and synchronicities for you. There is a purpose here deeper than you know, and there is a lot of love that surrounds you as you work with this divine intelligence. Your soul rebirthed here on this planet for you to bring in new light codes. Open up and receive your true calling. Open up and receive the blessings. Open up and take that step forward to achieving success. And success is relative, as in overcoming, like shedding a layer is success. Saying no or saying yes is a success. putting in that resume is a success. Rewriting the resume, rewriting the script, letting the barriers down to your own vulnerability is a success. Making that an appointment is a success. Oh, and I'm so sorry. I did not start this with a thank you. Because as I was like in meditation and receiving all this information, I, especially like, I kind of write things out. And like when that I've seen that, I was also filled with gratitude. And I really want to thank those who in this last year especially have called to check on me and supported me and laughed with me and didn't judge me because this has been something. So I really, I'm sorry I didn't say that straight out the gate. You know who you are, who have reached out, picked up the phone, text me, but like, you need some soup, you need something. Like, that has been huge. And I don't think I've thanked any of you enough who have reached out to show support. And my caregivers, like, wow. So many thanks to all of you who have been there. Sending lots of love my way, and I am sending lots of love your way. This is standing out. So this is associated with cord cutting. Um, I'm seeing the blue version. And the Goonies stack is standing out. Goonies never say die. It feels like total starseed. Yeah. Paradigm shift. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Sending lots of light and love your way. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing and sharing. It makes a difference. And I think that's it.